Every athlete I've worked with who earned a football scholarship, including myself, who earned a D1 football scholarship in the SEC at just 5'7" and 150 pounds, all shared the same 5 characteristics. And in this video, I'll share with you what they are and how to develop them so you can earn a college football scholarship as well. Characteristic number 1, coachability. Every player I've had the opportunity to work with is extremely coachable, meaning whether it's marketing or posting or doing outreach to college coaches, they make mistakes along the way, however, are willing to take coaching, learn from those mistakes, and improve over time. Just like when you're on the football field, you're not going to be perfect your first time out there. It takes time, it takes practice, and it takes getting coached well to get better at things. It's the same thing on the business side of recruiting. The outreach, the marketing, the sales process, everything along the way are all skills that you can develop. And if you're not coachable, it's going to be really hard to develop those skills. In fact, every player I've worked with that earned a scholarship actually wants to be criticized, although that's not the style we use. They want constant coaching so that they can get better, get more responses, and then turn those responses into offers. They also are really good at following a step-by-step process. I'm very analytical thinking, and so every step in the entire recruiting process has a playbook with steps on how to execute it. And the players that are extremely coachable stay and follow those steps. They don't make things up and go on their own. They follow the steps, learn from their mistakes, and continue to get better. They all know the product side of the business very well. They all play really well on the field, they work out hard, they do all the things they need to do to be a great football player. However, they just struggle with the business side, the marketing and the sales, and that's why the athletes that are coachable, not just on the football and the product side, but on the business side, have so much success, and they all earn football scholarships. Like one of my athletes, Cruz Castellanos, who just recently committed to a Division II school. When we met him, he had no plan, no process, no interest from any coaches, and was able to drum up offers in less than 6 months. Why? Because he was extremely coachable throughout the entire process. Characteristic number 2, commitment. During the recruiting process, you're going to experience a lot of negativity, a lot of setbacks, a lot of fear of failure and rejection and what people think about you, negativity. It's all part of the process. And so if you're not committed, it's going to be really hard to push through when things get really hard. And so every player I've worked with that earns a scholarship is extremely disciplined and committed, not just to the outcome of earning a scholarship, but more importantly, they're committed to the process. Meaning every playbook we put in front of them on the business side to market and sell themselves, they execute it regardless of negativity, fear of failure, what people think about them. No matter what, they're disciplined enough and committed enough to do it. Now, of course, in the beginning, they're shy and they have negative emotions through the process, and that's why we're here to coach them and hold them accountable. But the most important thing is that they show up. There's nothing we could do if the player doesn't show up. But because regardless of negative emotions and setbacks, they always show up. Just like one of our players, Keegan, who has an amazing story where he played 6-man ball, and on top of that, halfway through the season, injured his knee, which required him to get knee surgery. Despite his setbacks on the field, he was still getting coaches that would say, no, I'm not interested, stop reaching out to me. And he kept pushing through. He kept doing the outreach, he kept marketing himself, and most importantly, he kept showing up to be coached. And because of that, a player in a small town, 6-man ball, no interest in front of him when we met him, ended up with multiple offers and committing to a great Division II program. Just an amazing story of commitment, wanting to be coached, and accepting accountability, which here at Next Play, we do best. Characteristic number 3, grit. Most of the players that we work with are an underdog in some way. They come from a small town, they're undersized, or they're a great player and they're not physically an underdog, but they're just struggling to get in front of coaches, and coaches won't watch their highlight video. So even players that we have graded as SEC players, to me, are still considered underdogs because they're not rated. But every one of them that earned a scholarship had grit. They have the perseverance to push through, and they all have what I call a chip on their shoulder. Meaning because they're not rated, because they're not being looked at, they have this ability to overcome adversity and keep pushing forward because they want to prove everybody else wrong and they want to prove themselves right. It's the difference between those who give up during the process and those that continue to push and fight no matter what's in front of them. When I earned a D1 football scholarship in the SEC, this was the #1 word that came up to me from the entire coaching staff at Ole Miss. And they shared with me that it was truly an inspiration for them as coaches to really embody grit. Characteristic number 4, motivation. Now there's a difference between extrinsic and intrinsic motivation. Intrinsic motivation is the motivation we look for during our interview process with selecting athletes to work with. The reason being is this is motivation that comes from within. And this motivation goes way beyond superficial reasons like wearing a jersey on campus, getting girls, being cool. It goes way beyond that. It's deeper. It's a drive and a motivation to earn a scholarship and play college football no matter what. These players have a deep love for football and will do it even when nobody's watching, and are driven by passion and goals. And something no one will share with you, but they are driven and addicted to success. Meaning when they score a touchdown or make a big play or do something great on the field, they get this rush of success, which in turn they become addicted to over time, which continues to drive bigger goals and purpose, which leads to more motivation. If a player comes to us and they're not motivated at all, then it doesn't make sense for us to work with them. Every one of them have been told they're not good enough, they're not big enough, they're not talented enough, they can't play big time college football for whatever reason, and they use that as fuel to succeed. Like one of the players I mentor, Felix Carrillo, when I asked him what was his motivation, he shared with me it was to prove everybody wrong who told him he couldn't do it. He loved the game of football and it was his passion. However, his intrinsic motivation was to prove everybody wrong and to prove himself right. And not only did he do that, he was just a rotational player on his high school and ended up getting the second most offers on the entire team. The only person that had more offers than him was a 3-star athlete who had multiple Division I offers. So a rotational player had more offers than anybody else on the team. Why? Because he had all the characteristics I share in this video, including an insane motivation to succeed. Characteristic 5, they graded as a scholarship player. Now, before we even interview an athlete to ensure they meet the 4 characteristics I've shared with you so far in this video, we do a professional evaluation of that player. And we do so to ensure that they're graded as a scholarship player. If they're not graded as a scholarship player, then it's going to be impossible to help them earn a scholarship. We also want to know what level of scholarship player they are, whether that is NAIA, whether that's Division II, Division I FCS, G5, or a Power 4 player. To be fair to the parents and the families that we work with, they have to grade at a scholarship player first. And this goes way beyond size or talent alone. It's a holistic view of what college coaches actually look for. In my opinion, it would just be unethical to work with every family that reached out to us, even if their son did not grade at a scholarship level. And some families do complain that we have an interview process and have to turn some families away. But to me, again, it would just be unethical if they didn't have those 4 characteristics and the 5th one didn't grade as a scholarship player. The interview process allows us to ensure expectations are clear, and why last year 83% of our athletes earned scholarships, and this year we're already above 90%. And in all transparency, I've just passed that phase in my life where I have to work with everybody, and I'm sure you can understand. Now, whether you get a professional evaluation from us or somebody else, I highly recommend doing so that you know what divisions your son has the best chance of earning a scholarship at, ensuring that he is graded as a scholarship player, and then most importantly, reviewing your highlight video and moving the plays in the proper order to ensure when college coaches look at it, they could see exactly what they're looking for and respond back to your son when he does outreach. And if you'd like our team to do a professional evaluation, we have 15 years of Division I recruiting experience, including the SEC, then I'll leave a link in the description below where you can see if your son currently meets the criteria for an evaluation. And if you got value from this video and you'd like to watch more videos just like it, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification. And if you'd like to watch my last video where I break down all the different types of recruiting services so you could see what's the right fit for you, then you're gonna wanna watch this video right here.